What's up, everyone? This is Tatum. I'm back with another episode of Flowers. And today, if you're just tuning in, this week I'm doing all female acts. So to continue the tradition, I'm giving flowers to probably one of the most impactful albums in music culture, period. That's like very like this is one of the most impactful, but it is though. Today I'm giving flowers to the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. I feel like I couldn't do this without showing some love to, I want to say like the godfather of this shit, but the godmother of this shit. like it's so many people that grew from her tree, and with this album, and I guess some songs off the score as well, but this album in particular is so many. It's too many artists to name that came from this album. You know what I mean? That you can hear. I don't want to speak wrongly, but I think this was probably the start of the neo soul era. Like what came after this album was just a flood of songs that sounded like they were from Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, whether good or bad. Also, as a child, this album came out when I was, what was it, 98? Can you look that up for me? I think it was August 98. Haha. This album, I remember hearing this album in my mom's car, and my stepdad's car, and my auntie's car, and my grandmother's car, and my male cousin's car, my teacher's car, the police car. The siren was Miseducation of Lauryn Hill doo-wop. Like, I remember hearing this album so much through my upbringing. Fucking dogs were listening to it, mammals, cats. But rightfully so, though. It wasn't one of those albums that was just like, it's not really supposed to be commercial. Like, that wasn't her intentions when she made this album, to make a commercial smash. And I'm pretty sure she wanted to be, critically acclaimed in some kind of way. But it grew to that because sometimes, what can I say? Sometimes, like, the real shit cuts through, pretty much. That's for lack of better words. It's also in 2015. It was inducted into the National Recording Registry by the Library of Congress. This shit is literally in the history books. Over 20 million records sold. It's her only album. Like, this album is just like a fucking folklore. It's mystique. It's like kind of doesn't even exist. Like, she don't even exist, but the album exists in a way. So. This year, just to highlight, I know I give Rolling Stones flack all the time, but in an 8-year gap from when they did the top 500 albums of all time in 2012, it was 314. When they just redid it in 2020, it went to 10, which is probably the biggest leap of any record on that whole list. But it shows you that, I want to know who was in that room like, Miseducation, Lauryn Hill was, yeah. 314, because what happened in 8 years. That'd be my thing with these lists. Like, what happens in 8 years that you just like 314 to 10? Like, that's I don't know the percentage on that, but that's like a crazy percentage jump. Like, crazy. But let's get into it. I love just how the album starts with it starting in the classroom with the kids, and they asking like, she missed school that day. Lauryn Hill she don't show up to her shows, schools, the studio. Lauryn Hill, Miss Lauryn Hill, where the hell you at? Like, she wasn't even in class. They was talking about some deep shit in class that day. It's also funny that, not funny, but it's dope that they had the idea of just having children discuss the idea of love. And it's also funny because, was that like her thing, like, oh, let's see what y'all think of love, because y'all really have no idea.
Yes. I think that's what it is.
That's what it is. Like, listen back to it. To go from the intro and get into Lost Ones, where it's just like a straight shot to let you know where she was at, and just like, to me, that's just like an ultimate shot at the Fugees. Just to start off, it's funny how money changes situation, miscommunications leads to complications. My emancipation, you on every stage. Like, the way that she, like, you could tell she was sending shots at Wyclef improv. Like, you could tell she was just off the, because I heard he didn't even want her to do a solo album. That was even after he did his solo album. And then he came around and was like, all right, I'll produce it. And then she was like, nah, I'm good. So I just thought in Lost Ones is probably to be probably one of the best diss tracks of all time. And it's like because when Lauren's in the Fugees, I don't know what I'm gonna say is gonna sound bad. When you got that star of the group, and even though the Fugees are the Fugees, they made the score. When you got the star in the group, you always just want to hear the star at some point, and you just want to hear, like, I feel like you could be shackled sometimes to just the group idea and not fully your idea developing. So, like, we got Lauryn rapping prior with the Fugees and singing, but this is like the first time we hear that shit all together, and like she can go from killing the shit to you lost one, now you like she can go into her riffs and the hooks. Like that was the first time we seen that. You know how many doors that open? Like that's Drake. Like that's like what Drake does. Like not to say that he's on the level of Lauryn Hill by anything. I'm just saying like that whole melodic and then going to rapping. She was like the first one to do that shit like that. She's like a unicorn when it comes to that shit, and that's just so fucking dope. Going to X Factor. X Factor is just so fucking dope, man. Like it's just I don't know. It's not even like X Factor. I'm gonna skip Zion for a second, but Doo Wop. Those two songs are just like so embedded in my culture and mind that it's like it's nothing I can say about those two songs that can justify how great they are. And I heard going to Zion real fast. I heard that. Read. I hate when I say that. It sounds like I'm gossiping. I read that she, when she made this album, she was pregnant, and her record company, I'm pretty sure, she didn't say specifically who said it, but she was saying like a lot of people in her ear, like, you're gonna ruin your career if you have this baby. That's so fucked up. Like we don't even do. That's not even a thought when a male musician is having a child. Like and male, like you gonna be in the studio, right? But my baby's being born today. But like it's not even a thought. So looking back in retrospect as an adult now, it's just like, damn, that's fucked up that they put those shackles on just females in general in any industry. Like that's why they had to fucking make the law that you couldn't be fired from your job when you fucking having kids. Like it's sickening in a way. It's a terrible mindset. Especially it just shows you how greedy some people could be, and that's a underlying topic I think that flowed through this whole album is vultures around you, and it's a love album. Like it's a breakup love album as well, but that's just my opinion. It's a breakup love album as well, but you can hear her dealings with money hungry people, vultures, backstabbers. It sounds like I'm singing an OJ song right now, but like you can hear that floating throughout the whole thing. Like, and what is it on Doo Wop? I'm not sure if it's on Doo Wop, but one thing I always loved about Doo Wop is like, you know how sometimes when male or female they'll make a song, but it's like, I'm not gonna say any names, but you know the artist I'm talking about. Like they always make a song and it's like downing men in a way, like it's not a very uplifting thing. And I don't think Lauryn Hill does that or did that with Doo Wop or anything with her when she even talking about men. So like in Doo Wop she would do like, ladies, you need to do better about this, and guys, you need to do better about this. But she giving both perspectives, so it's like a balance, and it's not like I'm just attacking one set of people. I'm not attacking anyone. Like I'm just saying like we all could do better. I'm pretty sure she's been the one with the European nails at one point or blase blah. But you grow out of that and you understand it's just bigger shit in life that's more important than that shit. It's like a line, and I'll get to it later, but like the line and nothing even matters. So like, that's one thing I always loved about Lauryn Hill. Like that's why this album was so relatable. Like it wasn't just women listening to this album, it was men listening to this album. It was children, like you said. I learned about love first kind of listening to this album, and I could probably say the same thing, like 8 years old, I'm watching cartoons at that age. Like, but to find understanding in this at that young age shows you how important it is, and one, how great it is for second. Like, that's it. But and then I'm going back and forth, but just I love this album. I'm giving this flowers. So with Zion, you know how much my mother played that song, singing to me like, "Mom, my name's not Zion." But I get the message. But like a black mom.
Now I finally know why you hate that song so much.
Oh yeah, I thought I told you that. Like I heard that song so much in my life that I gotta skip it. Like no matter how great it is, I heard that song so much. Like, and my mother's a Gemini emotional, so she'll be crying, singing Zion. I'm like, man, we going to Toys R Us. Relax. uh, Superstar is so fucking dope as well, and she's talking about her rise to fame in it as well. She also talking about whack MCs making songs that have no what's the word I'm looking for? Just no artistic value to it. It's just like you hip hop started on the park. Now everybody trying to chart. Like it's funny that it's always funny when in retrospect when you look back at it when the artist says something like that and then they have the biggest album of all time. But she didn't know. But she didn't know that that was coming. But it's always like I think it's like God's. You know, don't you want to make God laugh? Tell me your plans. Like I'm gonna make this album that's non-commercial, and then you sell 20 million records and win nominated for the most Grammys of any female of all time. Win the most Grammys. Like it's. Or you could just be true to yourself, and God's rewarding you in that way. Superstar is dope, and that's one of the ones that she's spitting. That's why people put her in their top MCs or females or just MCs period, because Lauryn Hill could fucking spit, and then they go on the final hour as well, and she could just continues to just spit. She got a line. She said, "Now I'm getting the mozzarella like Rockefeller, still be in the church like LaBella, singing hymns in acapella. Whether posed in Mirabella and Couture or collecting residuals from off the score." I was like, oh shit. Oh, hey, hold up. I thought this was a heartbreak album. Like that just was just punches thrown at you like, oh, okay, I get it. But that was on the final album. That's another record I think that was a shot at the Fugees. And even having a line or collecting my residuals from off the score. Like it's still, I hate y'all. Like y'all, bro, they messed up a good thing. Like the Fugees could have been, like imagine if they would have came back after Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. I mean, she didn't even come back after Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, so I guess whatever. When it, she did it. If you think I ain't letting these Lauryn Hill Where's Waldo jokes fly, I'm letting them fly. Cause where the fuck is Lauryn Hill at? No. I wouldn't do that. That's me. I mean, literally, she didn't come back to the studio ever again. To go into When It Hurts So Bad is probably one of my favorite songs on there. I think that song is just beautiful. Like, for lack of better words, it's just it paints a picture that I'm pretty sure everybody's been through. That's another one that was played a lot in the car. No matter who car was in, that song was being played. See, she was like, I thought this feeling was all that I had, but how could this be love and make me feel so bad? That background that she hit behind that is fucking ridiculous. But that's, like I always say, I love poetry, and just like I was speaking about in the Amy Winehouse thing, how you don't really get females who, like I said, we get the sugar gloss love songs for females because your record companies don't, not yours, like I'm speaking, their record companies don't really want them to be who they are anyway. Like Lauryn Hill was awarded this because she fucking was Lauryn Hill in the Fugees and did the score. But like, and for me personally, just as a man listening to this as a child and then growing up into a man and listening to it, it's like I grew up around a lot of women, right? So these are the songs that in conversations that I would hear with my moms and my aunties that I wasn't supposed to be hearing. But in return, it also helps me understand women a little bit better in a way. Just my thought. Like, and I want to, like how, and you should want to. It always got weird when when guys don't listen to female music. It's like, how do you expect to understand women if you don't even listen to what they're putting out? And I'm not saying I'm perfect at that, but I'm just saying, like, just to hear that, like, a woman talking about she gave up her power, I existed for you. That's like, even at 8 years old, like you said, seeing your older people, your aunts, your mom, listening and singing that with so much passion, you kind of wonder, like, damn, why are you singing it with so much passion? And then you like, oh, probably that conversation y'all was having the other day. Like, you start connecting these things, and I just think that that's what music's supposed to do also. I love both of the Mary J. Blige and Lauryn Hill collabs. The one on this album, I used to love them. I love that one. And what's the joint off the Mary J. Blige album that Lauryn Hill wrote? All That I Can Say. I love both of those records. I love the duetness, but just on this record, I love how Lauryn Hill is so unorthodox. Like, so Lauryn Hill gets the first verse, but then the last two verses, her and Mary J. Blige are like Jada Kiss and Styles peeing it up. But it's so dope. That was just my way to like they're going back and forth in the same verse and like with the ice cream sample, like the Raekwon ice cream sample in it, like that shit is hip hop to its core, but they spitting some real shit. I used to love them, like, but now I don't. Like just straight to the point. Again, these are songs I've heard so much growing up and seeing my ancestors sing that once you get older, you start to understand these things a little bit more. Again, they talk about Mary J. Blige has a line where she says, "I gave up my power," and that's the record that follows, that song. So it's like you could tell that was an underlying theme of. Oh, you could just see what Lauryn Hill was going through at the time. And who else is better to get on a song like that than Mary J. Blige? Like, she made my life. Like, majority of her discography is heartbreak, unfortunately. We love that Mary J. Blige, though. But, like I said, that's another one is, like, listen to Mary J. Blige and Lauryn Hill go back and forth is, like, I'm the only child, so I was around my mom a lot, and that's just, like, conversations that I would hear. Girl, I've been through the same thing. Man, you should... Like, it's, like, tears... wine, like it's just I've seen that so much in my life. So songs like that, like I used to love them with those two. It just always puts me back in that state, and it's not relatable, but it's relatable. I don't want women to be like, you can't relate to this. And again, I think this album is riddled with Fuji's shots riddled throughout. Lost Ones, Forgive Them Father, for they not know what they do, The Final Hour, etc. Every ghetto in every city reminds me of a Jill Scott song. Like I could tell how from the sample to the way the drums go and to the way she's singing the hook, I could see how Jill Scott heard that, and like I wouldn't say I'm going to put this on Jill Scott, but you could hear how she was influenced by this. Like I said, I don't want to say she birthed the neo soul era, but she ushered that shit in. I think the success of her album made record companies more comfortable with releasing artists like that. So after we get Erica dropped in like 98 too, so I can't say that, or 97, but I just feel like you remember that rush we had in neo soul in the early 2000s. It was like Jill Scott, Music Soul Child, India.Arie, and Brown, and a fucking wristband that was African color, Jamaican colors. You from the Bronx? Hey, come on now. But one of the standout songs also is Nothing Even Matters. That's another one that played a lot in my childhood. And it's probably the only, not only, but it's one of the few songs on here that's talking about love in a good way. Like, nothing even matters to me. Like, one of my favorite lines is, these buildings, the way she say it, though, makes it, I'm going to say it and it's going to sound dumb. But, like, these buildings can drift out to sea, some natural catastrophe. Still, there's no place I'd rather be. Like that line, oh my gosh. Or the joint where she say, now you won't find me at no store. I have no time for manicures. Like that, I was like, oh, those lines just hit me. Like, man, that shit's so fucking dope. And she watched D'Angelo on there. Like she, she wasn't playing. Like she was really watching people. Like her pen game. It's crazy. It's something I'll get into later. But Nothing Even Matters also is just one of those songs. It reminds me of a Saturday afternoon riding with my mom. And it's just like I could picture, like I could just see my surroundings. Like, music always puts you in a place of reminiscence. So like I could always just imagine being in the back seat. It's also, I hate to sound negative, but it was also a lot of people who felt like they didn't get credit for the album, like who worked on it. Like I think that was like in this time you could look it up on your own, but it's a lot of people who didn't get the like musicians and singers and writers who didn't get paid a lot. I mean, who didn't get paid at all from this album. Then they worked on it. I think that was a thing from her record label to make it look like Prince-like. Like just to have like Lauryn Hill did everything, and she did a lot, but she didn't do everything. And I'm just as the musician in me, I think everybody should always be credited for their work, rather you did anything. Like, yeah. all the arrangers, all the people who played the instruments, all the people who helped write certain things, they should also be compensated. No matter how much I love the artist, I'm always pro artist in a way. So that's one of the things that it doesn't taint the album for me. But looking back at it and doing research, I'm like, damn, why did they do that? Like, why wouldn't they just? You could say like, yeah, I just don't understand why you didn't do that. Because this whole thing for me is just I'm speaking from obviously a black male's point of view, but can you elaborate on what this album means to not all black women, but what it can mean to a black woman as yourself?
Well, for me, I think, or not for me, but I guess just like the most important thing to me about what it does for black women is, I think for me, it was the first time that like the video vixen, I don't even know if that existed yet, but like just being a cool, like loyal, smart, savvy girl was cool, and like not necessarily like that type of chick that you're raised to feel like that's the only type of sexy, or that's the only type of like appeal. And I think I personally just like, I was attracted to her mind, I guess, if that makes any sense. Like, I felt close to the way that she thought, and also having a very balanced female male perspective. It has enough of like pull you up by your bootstraps, but enough vulnerability to like be what you need to like actually get through stuff.
Yeah.
Because some stuff is too sappy and you just kind of be stuck in the moment, and some stuff is too hard and it doesn't take a moment to like just really look at these emotional things as like real. And I think she just does both. Just the ups and downs of love. Like, my first tattoo was like, the soul will have no rainbow if the eyes had no tears. So it's like I always, and maybe from this album, like expected the ups and downs in love compared to like what the new generation learns about love. Like, it's transient, you can kind of throw it away, find the best thing, whatever. But yeah, that's my thing.
I could dig that. Yeah. I just didn't want to do this without getting a woman perspective, because I know, well, I don't know, but I can assume how much this album could mean to black women, especially. Like, just from seeing my ancestors listening to it and the impact it had on them. So I didn't want to finish this without asking a black woman, what do you think Miseducation meant to, you? On that note, let me get into my best songs. Hurt So Bad, When It Hurt So Bad, Nothing Even Matters, and I gotta go with Doo Wop. It'd be crazy if I didn't mention that song. Worst song, Everything Is Everything. I don't really like that song. I know that's wrong to say. It's my show, but I don't really like that song like that. Best line, what you want might make you cry, what you need might pass you by if you don't catch it, and what you need ironically would turn out what you want to be if you just let it. That's my favorite line. Like, I don't think it gets any better than that.
Yo, remember back on the bully when cats used to haunt?
In closing, like I said, I think this album has been tried to be duplicated hundreds of times. It's so many artists who come from this Lauryn Hill miseducation tree that it's insane. And that's not a bad thing. It just shows you the impact of this album and how great it is. And to your point, I think, shout out to production, to your point, we always need a balance. So like you were saying, like, it was finally an image of someone, a female, I'm paraphrasing here, just a female who wasn't just video vixen, like a woman who wasn't a female vixen, but just someone with intelligence and being who themselves. And you won't find me at no stores. I ain't got no time for manicures. I could wear my jeans. I could wear my sweats. I could be who I want to be, and I could still be sexy, and I could still garnish the acclaim. Like, I could still win all these awards. I could still sell all these records, and that's just materialistic things. But in this case, like, it means a lot because at that point, at the late 90s, bro, we were like, it was like big pimping. Like, that's the vision of women. Like, so like this album means so much because not only is she speaking on black women, you know, the part that I mentioned is also a relationship thing. Like, it's love. Like I said, it's great that she had the kids talking about love throughout the whole thing, and it's just dope because not only were women listening to it, men were listening to it hard. Like, it wasn't like, and maybe that's just our area of DC, because that's like our melting pot of, we love that neo soul kind of shit. But everyone loves this album, bro. Like, everybody got something to pull from this album, and it's honest. Like, I don't see no facade of nothing in it. Like, I don't see something I could point to and say, like, the songs that became commercial smashes organically. Like, they wasn't fucking Katy Perry created, like, to be pushed out there, and with this fucking teenage love affair, whatever the shit's called that she made. Like, when you hear a song that's made to be on the radio. Doo-wop still plays on the radio to this day. You can hear X Factor. These songs it's just real emotion, raw emotion. Top 10 albums of all time according to Rolling Stone. So that says a lot. And even just to have not only a black person in the top 10 but a black woman in the top 10, it's just beautiful. That's pretty much all I got to say. Lauryn Hill, Miseducation, here's your flowers, we love you. I wish we would have got another album. Like, that part really grinds my gears, but you're an artist and you go through whatever you got to go through, and everybody has their roads, and long as you gave us this, like, it's hard for any artist to have one album that penetrates the whole world, but it's hard for an artist to have one song that penetrates the whole world. You have an album that's gonna live forever, and you are appreciated. So I'm Tatum. Peace.